Hey guys, welcome to stream. It's Wednesday night, and we've got a few things to do tonight. Now, in the title, I've said, let's take lives from the player. Now, we can simply do that as children outside screaming their heads off, but what we can do also is a lot of people, when they're learning Unreal Engine, don't know how to add footsteps properly. So, I was thinking, why don't we have a go at that? Hey Angie, how are you today? So, let's have a go at that. Let's do some footsteps, shall we? So, what we're going to do, and we'll hope to get the rest of the stuff done, because footsteps I pretty much know like the back of my hand how to do, and I'm just about to prove to you that I don't, but we'll do it anyway. So, here we have our Orky boy, but we'll do Nosferatu first. Okay, so we have the animation Nosferatu. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a variable called Footstep Cues. Okay, and these are going to be sound cues. Now, later on, I may change this to be a structure because we might want to use a set of cues for different materials that we walk on. Okay, but in theory, at first, we'll just use the simple version to let you see how you do footsteps. Okay, so we have our footstep cues. What we're going to do is we're going to make this an array, and then we are going to load in our footstep cues into the correct place. So we have footstep sounds, which is an asset, which was a free asset, and I can't remember, it's these one here is the sound cues, and that's not them. We want the actual footsteps in mono, and we're going to use both the male and the female. Now, as you can see here, we have the different sounds here, and we're going to be using the wood ones, and we have 5 cues. Okay, so in here we're going to compile this, and then we're going to add 5 new cues. And that's one too many, so we'll delete that one. Then we shall drag our different cues. Now, these are just slight differences to give it a more effective sound. We have actually got 6. Right, so we'll add one more. And there we go. Okay, now for the important part. What we're going to do is we're going to open up our orc walk. And that wasn't the orc walk, so we'll open up the orc walk. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop it for now. We're going to move it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move it till his foot hits the floor. There. Okay, then we're going to right click and we didn't quite get that right. and we should be able to add notifies here. Right, now this is slightly different, and it looks like we're going to add a notify track, and then we're going to add a notify, and then we're going to call it step. Okay, and then when he takes his next step and hits the floor there, we're going to add a notify, and this time we're going to say step. Okay, so we're done with that. So we save that, we go back to our blueprint, and then what we can do is we can type in step, and we have event anim notify step. Right, that is what we just created by adding notifies. Okay, so now the next thing we do is we drag in our foot cues, then we get the length of our array, then we subtract 1, which gives us the actual 0 to the maximum. Then our next node is going to be int, well, once we right click, int in range. Okay, and our maximum is going to be the length minus 1. Then we're going to drag off foot cues again, and we're going to say get a copy, and the element we're going to get is the randomly selected one. Okay, so now we have one sound cue. We're going to play location, okay, then we're going to set up our attenuation to be footsteps attenuation. Then our location is going to get our pawn. Now we could set up a specific thing on our pawn to do this, but for the moment we shall just basically say location, and we'll say actor location, right? And in fact, our actor location, we can either set the location to 0 or just play at the location. And I think we'll actually do it at 0. Okay. So what we'll do is we shall split the struct, then we shall split this struct, and that is us. And that, folks, is how you basically do footsteps that are in sync with the actual footsteps. Okay? And there you have it. And then we can grab this, right, move it out the way a bit. Then we can copy it. Okay. And because they're all using the same orc walk, we should, in theory, be able to just, well, we're going to need to create our footsteps again, right? So, footstep cues. And it's going to be sound cue. And it's going to be this again. Okay, so we can save that. And then we should be able to just go like that. And you'll notice that we get no errors. Now, we do have to set up our footstep cues again, but that's fine. We get 6 of these, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the next thing we need to do is get our footsteps and put them in here. Okay. Then we can check them for volume, etc., to make sure that it all sounds right. But our final one is going to be our Sister of the Night. And we're going to do the same for her. So we're going to do footstep cues. And this is going to be sound cues. Now we could set this up slightly different by putting them on the actual character. And basically loading them up from a data table, but that would be a job for when we optimize stuff and try to simplify it. Right, so we're going to leave that as is, that's fine. But for her, we're obviously going to use the female steps. Okay. Now we're going to assume that we've still got 6. So hopefully we have still got 6. So now we go female and we go wood. And apparently she's got heels on. Now why vampires or monsters would care about what particular shoes they wear, I don't know, but anyway. By using the different sounds on different monsters, this would actually give us a way of identifying without seeing the monster, right? Because you can probably end up understanding by listening who the monster is, right? So if you hear a particular pair of heels or a particular footstep, then you know you might be in trouble. Okay? So let's test this out. And I shall switch on the desktop audio. Hopefully you guys will hear this now when it actually happens. But at the moment we've got the Nosferatu. And he's round that corner. And there he went. So you can hear the sound there, right? And what we're going to do now is we're going to delete the Nosferatu, and we're going to bring in the Sister of the Night so that we can hear the difference between the footsteps. Okay. And as usual, when you want them to come to you, they don't. And she isn't doing anything. Right, so we have to check her out. And we have to see if she is actually playing those sounds or not. I'm going to say, yeah, we've got anim notify step. Oh, it's not that one. It's event anim. Apparently that actually doesn't. It's because this is a slightly different animation, right? I've had to retarget this, so you'll notice there's no step. Okay, so all we need to do is basically put our steps back in. So we're going to add a notify track, and I'd say about there. And we're going to add a new notify. It's going to be called step. Now you can't really see. I wonder if I go to the left or the front. If I look to the right, right, so it's somewhere around about here. Now, if I look at Nosferatu, right, it's at 28. Now, that should actually be the same place. Roundabout. Right, so it's 10 and 28. So we go in here, we click step, save that, go back to here, event, step, and then we basically do the same thing for our other guy. Okay, so what was that, 10 and 28? Now we'd be able to retarget these obviously if we need to, but So we'll open this, pause it, go to 10, add a notify track, add notify, new notify, step, then we go to about 28-ish, add notify, step, save that, go back to our demon dude, and this should now work. Okay, and that, my friends, is how you do footsteps. So now you can hear her. Yep, hear her fine. So we'll just check our other dude now. Our demon guy. Make sure we can hear him okay. Bring in him. Spin him round. Press play. And he's away the other way. Yep. So he lost a bit of distance to us. Yep. We can hear him fine. Okay. So that's all working lovely. And now we have to do what we were talking about, which was our, well, the first thing we need to do, right, is this can get deleted. We have this working fine. These are the teleporters, if nobody saw them yet. I worked on them yesterday, and if we look at them, you can teleport to another area, and then it'll pop back up, and probably, actually, you know what? This might actually look better with an emissive on it. Right? So if we go to the plane, right, and we go to the material, and then we pump some emissive into that, this might actually work a little bit better. Soon find out. It's worth a go. So we can press play on that. Right, we've got no colour there, and then it appears back. Right, and there it is. Now, the next question is whether we should allow the bad guys. Oh yeah, that's what we're going to do. That allows me to do that then. So what we can do now is we can close down everything for now. Okay, because we're going to open up our first person thing. And we have a take damage. Okay. And this is it restart or reset? And it's probably just type in level. And have we got like a reset level? I can't remember. I've done this before, but I can't remember if there's just you just reload the level or if you and basically we could do this just as one, or what we could do is get current level name, right? So you could do it that either way. This would work. Yeah, we should really do that. Okay. And there's a weird thing, right? You open the level with a level name, which is a name, and when you return it, you get a string. And then you have to convert it again to give you your name. You would think that it would return the same thing, but anyway. Right, so now, if we hit 0, then basically we're going to restart, right? So if I stand under that trap, in theory, I should die. Right? Now, it looks like it actually killed me, which it shouldn't have done. Right? So the first time we go, right, I'm going to restart this, right? And it appears to me right, now that's it hit me. And that's at 2, okay? And it's hit me again. For some unknown reason, we're now at 1. So, for some reason, right, for some reason our trap is hitting us more than once. Okay, so it's firing take damage more than once. So we're going to have to look at our trap and see why the trap is doing this to us. Now, what we could do is I do once, right? So that it's only going to allow it to do it once. And then we can say custom event. Or no, we don't actually need to do that, right? What we can do is we can go to our box. Right? And then end overlap. And it's going to be the end overlap that is going to fire the reset, right? So now when we do that, then this is going to be there. Okay. So now, in theory, we should only get hit once. Right? And you'll notice we didn't die. And it's hit us again. And this next time it should jump us back. Alright, what? Ah. Right. This is because we keep replenishing health. Okay. So what I'm going to do is for the short term we're going to undo that. Right, resume that. Resume that. And the next time it hits us, we should reset. And there we go. Resume. And we're back to the start. Okay, so that's all working fine and dandy. I'm sure there's a reset level thing where it actually doesn't, you don't need to reload the level. Right? It's not restart. Well, it could be. Yeah, there, it's restart game. Right, and that sets everything back to where it was, I believe. Yeah, this would be the game mode. Right? So, nah. Tomatoes, all the same. Right? But what we do know is that it's working. Okay? So, we've got a kill thing. And so the next thing that we actually wanted to work on was, there's two different things, right? Well, there's more than two different things. But one of the things is we need to have an indicator of when a trap is about to fire. Right? Now, we could play a sound, like, let's say we played a sound that went click. So if the player's listening for it, they'll hear a click, right? But what I was actually thinking about was like putting a little light in the corner, and when it's about to fire it will go red, and then normally it will be green, right? But it's how to do that in a not too unobtrusive way. Now what I could do is line them up to a picture, right? And then put something on the picture when it's about to fire, like a skull, right? So it'll normally, let's have a look, right? I'll show you what I mean. If any of you guys have any other thoughts on this, right? So we've got a picture here, right? Which is a normal picture, but what we could do is put the skull on that, right? Just before the trap fires. Okay? Now the next question is, do we block the player, or sorry, do we block the monsters with the wood blocks? Or do we allow them to travel through the wood blocks? That's another question. Okay. And the next question is, do we carry on working on the game, or do we do a little bit of work on the menus? Right? Our pickups are all working absolutely fine. Our monsters are working fine. Now, I'm not saying anything here is absolutely perfect and absolutely ready for, you know, prime time yet, but they're all at the level that basically we've done them to at the moment, right? They're not being totally polished up, but they're all working as expected. So the other thing we could do is, if we look at our maps, right, we're going to do that, and then we're going to look at our maps, right, and if we look at the main menu, okay, there's really only two things here. Now, if any guys are watching here and they want to comment, or they want to, you know, say an idea, don't hesitate. I'm all ears. I might not use your idea, but it might give me an idea of something else to do, or I might like it and think it's great. Right, but my kind of idea for the format, right, of this is going to be, obviously new game takes you a new game, continue as a game. The only two here that are actually going to change the way this looks are credits and options, right? Now, it might end up that we actually have one more thing in here, which might be high scores. Okay, now it's not necessarily going to be online high scores, but might be high scores. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is, right, okay, let's stop this for now, and we'll do just a little bit of widget work here, just to get things going and to get us in the mood. Right, so we're going to be looking at our HUD. Main menu, we're going to be looking in here. We're going to close that. Right, so this is our main menu with our buttons on it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get our credits. In fact, we're going to get our options here, and we're going to duplicate it. Right? And this is going to get changed to button scores. And this text options is going to get changed to text scores. And then this is going to get changed to high scores. Okay. Now, in the graph, we are now actually going to be getting these and dragging them down. Okay. And this is all fine. But what we're going to do now is we're going to be getting button scores and unhovered. Then we're going to get button scores again and unhovered. And then obviously these are going to get the same code as everything else, which is going to be here. So we're going to duplicate these so that we get our hovered and unhovered. Okay, and we're going to delete text options, and we're going to get text scores. Right? And we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to plug it in here. So that's going to basically brighten the high scores or not, as you can see, like that. And we're getting, we needed another animation for him for that. Which is fine. Okay, now what we could do here is we could go to Mixamo and get another sort of distinct, more distinct animation. And then add it into our animation blueprint for him. Right, but that's for later on. Now, what I was going to say was, we probably need to bring this up a bit. And the idea here was that what I do with this is I basically keep like the options, the high scores and the credits within like a box here. Okay? Now, if I'm going to do that, then probably I need to figure out a way to do it, or possibly another we could use a camera change, right? So we've got a camera here, right, that's pointing at him here. We could create like a different title page, so that when we change like one of these three, it basically moves the camera to another position, right? And then it shows the credits or whatever in sort of here. Or we could move this to like up here. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to go and grab myself a cigarette for 2 minutes. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe, and check out the description for the Discord and Wastesplit's channel, and I shall be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys. Okay guys, we're back. I was having a little think about it, and what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Right, so I'm going to bring up Mixamo. And we're going to get ourselves a clapping we're going to get ourselves a clapping animation, right? And then we shall take it from there. So let's see where my Mixamo is. Right, it is here. Right, now we want to upload a character, and it is not from Nosferatu. It is from Vamp Hunter and VH1. Open. Right. So we are uploading our character and we're going to use him, and it's going to give us a message to say, do we really want to use this? And if you haven't got it right open, you don't notice it, and then you just close it and it doesn't change the character, and then you're all confused, and then it doesn't work. And then things get a bit weird. And then things get a bit weird anyway by the looks of it. Right? Because it appears to have timed out. So let me just drag this off screen and sign in again. Sorry about this guys, but we'll get there. Right. They've got an updated terms of use which will be about 350 pages long. Right, we're not going to worry about that. Right, so we're back where we were, right? And we can look at the BBC website. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a clap, right? And I think we'll go with this one, right? Now, if you do not have a character and you try to bring this, so if you do it by default character, this causes problems. Or maybe it doesn't actually. But the better way to do it is to upload your character, right? And I find this works perfectly well. Right, now the idea here is, right, now this is a bit of shilling, right, but bear with me, there's a reason behind it, right? The point is that Patreons get their name in the game, okay? At a certain level, it's $5, right? Now, that's not the point. The point is the mechanics of the game here, right? And the way it's worked into the game, right? So the point of the clapping is that when you click on credits, you'll see the name of the Patreon supporters, okay? Which is fairly standard stuff with what developers do at them these days, right? But my point is that when you click on the credits, then the vampire hunting will be pointing at the people or the list and clapping, right? So that the game's responding to things that are actually happening in the game, rather than, you know, him just standing there with an idle pose or blah blah blah, right? The point is to make it, well, kind of interactive, you know? Right, so we need to go down here and you'll notice this next button. Now, if you've got your window opens smaller, then you don't notice that. You click on that and it basically cancels the whole thing, right? So basically you click on next, just remember that, guys. And now what you can do is, if we click on that, right? Now, what if we do this one? Now, that's a bit much. Why do they have to? I get it, right? These are obviously for like a sporting event, right? That somebody's sitting in a crowd and then when something happens, they get up and they do that. Right? We could do that. That's a bit, it's a bit exaggerated. Right, we just want standing. And I think we're going to have to take the cane out the guy's hand for a lot of this. Now, why it's got all these, I don't know. Right, is there any other claps? Or is it all just nonsense now? Apparently it's all nonsense now. Right, okay, so we can go back to 1. And right. So what we can do is we don't want them to we just want kind of this. And those are sitting claps. Right, this one will do. So what we do now is we say download, we say without skin, we go with that, download. Okay, so we've got this. Then we basically show in folder and we can minimize that down. Then we can minimize this down. And we go to our player, which is here in Vamp Hunter. We go to his animations, then we get our downloads back up and we do that. Then we get VH01 skeleton and import. Okay. Then to finish all this lovely stuff off, we go to here, right, and we need to change current state and add a new thing in. So we add a new one in and we call it clapping. Save that. Okay, so that's ready for us now. Then we go back to here we go to our animation graph. Okay, and this is the part where we can go pointing and then clapping. Okay, so what we could do is basically add a state, we'll call it clapping, right, and we're going to move it a bit, and forward and back. Then in here we're going to do this, put that in there, right? Then we're going to go back to our machine and we're going to click on this. We're going to change current state. We're going to get it. We're going to say equals. We're going to say clapping. And then we're going to return back. Right? Save that. Then we're going to go back to our machine, and our thing to go back is going to be pretty much the same thing. Going to get current state, idle, well, equals actually, and it's equals idle, which is correct, and we plug that into there. We save that. Okay, and then finally in our main menu, when they go over, we're going to do the shake head for the one above, right? So we'll do shake head for this, right? We need slightly different ones, but you'll get the idea in a minute. Right, so now when we go over high scores, he's shaking his head, and if we go to credits, we clap hands. Okay? And that's how that's going to work. Now, the funny thing is here, that a lot of the stuff that's in Mixamo, like the sitting for stuff, we could actually sit them in a chair and then actually get them to like stand up and do whatever. And then kind of do it that way, right? But anyway, you can see there that we've got stuff working. Now the point is that we now need either to A, move the camera around, depending on if we click on certain things, or we just bring up, we have a menu item here, a canvas panel, that has the options, the high scores and the credits, and we draw them into the actual options and stuff, right? Now, in the first instance, we could do, so the way that I would do this, right, is we're going to go into our HUD and I'll create individual widgets for each of those three different things, right? So I would basically say credits, then I would add a new folder, right, hang on a second. I would basically delete this, and I would delete that, and I would put them into the main menu because they're part of the main menu, right? These are images that I might or might not use, but in the meantime we shall create a folder and we shall call it credits, and we shall create another folder. It will be called options, and finally we shall create another one called high scores. Okay, and probably what I'll do here is I'll use a widget switcher to basically draw within the bounds of a particular box the put the widgets in and show each of them. So what I'm saying here is this is going to end up a separate widget, right? And the base position on the widget switcher is going to be showing this widget, right? So basically I'll be transferring these, but that would suggest that I need to move this to the left a bit. But we'll see how it goes, right? We'll do a bit, see how it goes. Now, this is the part where when you've done something once, basically you don't do it again, right? You copy it from another project if possible. So I'm going to bring in this project which already has a credits, already has an options, and already has, well, it doesn't have a high scores, right? But I do have a high scores one as well. But the high scores one is linked to asset, which I'm not going to use for this, okay? But it will give us an idea of what we want to do. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to minimize this and we're going to bring it into another screen. Okay, and that's my wife back, so I'm going to have to turn the mic off for a minute because the dog will go mad. Okay, she's went straight to the room to keep him quiet. Right, so basically what we want is in main menu, we've got options and then we've got credits, which is quite handy. So we've got two things here, we've got credits and supporter. I'm not sure if we need both. I'm not going to migrate these, right, because obviously we're going to use a very different thing, right? And I think we do need both these, but what we can do, okay, let me show you what we can do here, right? What I can do is basically use from the border out here, and I can copy this, okay? So bear with me. And then what we can do is we can go into here and we can create a user interface and widget, and we can call it W_credits. We can open it up, right? And then what we can do is we can delete that canvas panel, then we can paste, okay? And now what we can do is we can start removing stuff, Okay. So we can change this to into Studios, right? We can change the color to red, then we can change this back to AR Julian, right? Then we can go to this border, or is it this border? Yeah, it's this border here, right? And we can basically get the tint and say 0. Okay, so it's completely see-through. We can get this and delete it. Then we can get the button close, and this has actually got, I believe this has like a buttony style. Right, but we're going to change this anyway, so we'll basically change that to red, and then what we'll do is we'll change that font to the correct font, and then we'll basically move this button down to there. We'll stop it for now, we'll save that. Okay, and what we'll do next is, I believe we need the supporters one, but the supporters one is pretty simple anyway. I believe it's just a text box, right? But supporter, and you can see here that we've got scrolling stuff, so we're going to copy that if it's not already there, which it should be, which it's not, right? So we can copy that, but that's okay, we'll do that in a second, right? But what we need to do is we need to create a struct in fact, do we? I don't think we do. Yeah, we do. Right. We need to create a struct just to store the names in a data table. Okay, so it's going to be struct underscore supporters. Now, you guys will all want this, basically, because if you want to get, like, funding from IHS, if you want to get supporters and bring them onto the screen, then you'll obviously want this, right? So we're just going to say name here, and it's going to be a name, so we shall save that, and then we're going to create a data table, right? So that's going to be miscellaneous and data table, and it's going to be based on struct supporters. So we're going to OK that, and then we're going to say dt underscore supporters, and that didn't name properly, so we'll rename it, I suppose. I still think that underscore does something weird. Right, so there we have our DT supporters. Now what we can do is we can copy the names from our supporters in our actual so we're going to add, and that's our first supporter. Then we're going to add, and that is our other supporter at the moment. By the way guys, $5 in Patreon, you get your name in here as well. Right? So we've now got our supporter table and our supporter, well, we haven't actually done our supporter widget, right? So it's literally a text block, and that's it. So we're going to copy that, right? We're going to open our widget. We're going to delete this. We're going to select this, and we're going to paste it in. Then we're going to change it to our correct text, and this is probably going to be red, but we'll think about that later. We could even make it the, you know, the wolf moon thing, but for the moment we'll keep it legible. And now what we need to do is, in our credits, we need to do the code that's in the credits for this. Okay, now we might need a few different variables here, so we're going to add them in. So we're going to have controller, right, and it's going to be pawn, it's actually pecan, okay, it's not pecan, it's something or other. It's PC Chronicles. Okay, that's our controller. And now we need row count, which is going to be a integer, and we're going to duplicate that, and it's going to be call count. So basically it's row count and column count, and that's going to keep track of where we are in a grid and place the names in the correct place. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is basically copy a whole load of stuff. Some of it ain't going to work, So I'm going to have to basically change it. That's fine. Right? This bad thing here ain't going to work because what was that thing called again? It was called Chronicles. Ah, wait a minute. Cast to Chronicles. Cast to PC Chronicles. Okay. So it's going to be get player controller, and that's going to be cast to that. And that's going to be going to there. We're going to be getting a data table row, and that's going to be DT supporters. And that one is going to be DT supporters. Then we're going to be deleting that. And we're going to be deleting that. We're going to be breaking that. And then this is going to be W supporter. And in W supporter, we're going to be passing in the name. Okay, so if we go to here, we've got text name. We're going to add a variable, and we're just going to say name, and that's a name. Then we're going to make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Right? Then we're going to delete that. Then we're going to do a get on that and a get on that. Right? And then we're going to say set text. And then that text is going to go in there. And in there. Then you can join that to there. Save that. Now go back to our credits. Right? And then if we refresh the nodes, we can pass our name right in there. We can go to there. Right, and that's all fine. Right, we need to add the start scrolling, and we've got one more thing to do, which is in our controller, we need a reference to the credits. Okay, so in our HUD, we don't have that. So this is our PC PM Chronicles, okay, and we need a reference here to the credits, and this is going to be W And this is basically so that we can actually scroll the credits, right? Because our player controller is going to do the timeliney thing. So if we go back to credits, oh, did I call that credits or credits? Well, I called it credits. That's fine. It's fine. Right, so in here, basically, we delete this W underscore we set W credits to there. We refresh this and we set that there. Put this in there. And the next thing we do is we've got another little bit of code to copy here. And we say paste. And we have a little bit more to do, which ain't that much more, to be honest. I'm sorry if I'm ignoring the chat. Yeah, did you do what I told you to do, Jess? Right, so we have that working. And we can delete this. And we start scrolling. And that takes us into here. We've got one more thing to do on the controller now, which is basically start scrolling, right? So if I'm going to be looking at the other thing. And we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go to our controller, right? And then we're going to add this. Wow, that actually brought in a proper delay. Right, we're going to have to set this timeline up. But, wait a minute. Got a couple of little things to do here. This should actually be that. Oh, we've got SB names. Okay. Right, okay. Okay, we're happy with that. Don't worry. We're going to break this for now. Then we're going to take a look at our timeline. Right, so we're going to go in here. We're going to add a float track. Then we're going to right click, add a key. That key is going to be 0, 0. Did I actually change that? No, I didn't. 0. Right, and then add a float track. And this is going to be 10. It's also going to be value 1. That's going to be 10. Then if we hit these little buttons, it brings it back down at scale. Our length is going to get changed to 10, and we can save that. Right, SB names is actually scroll box names, right? And there it's there. Now, if we look at SB names, it is actually there, so it is kind of right. So if we go back to here, delete that, we know we're getting SB names, right? So we can say it's get credits, then SB names, and that's the scroll box, right? So we're doing that, and that's absolutely fine. We can delete these, then we can duplicate these, if you're going to duplicate, right? And these can go in here, and the bottom one is, this one is restart scroll, right? But for some reason we don't have restart scroll, right? This is going to go in here. We're going to save that for now. We're going to go back to credits. We're going to go to your graph, and this does have restart scroll, right? Which is weird. And this is going to be credit scrolling. Right, and I believe this goes to here. And save that, then go back to here, and that's the wrong thing, which is why that's not working. Right, we can duplicate that and then say restart scrolling, put that in there, and then I'm pretty sure this comes off the finished. Now this isn't going to scroll because we don't have enough to make it scroll, but this is basically the exact code from Fabrica Spas, which works because I've tested it with lots and lots of different names on it, and it works perfectly well. We might need to change it slightly, but it should be good. So let me check the chat again. Right, so basically we've just made our credit screen, so that's great, and we can test it by going to the W menu, right? Event construct, and actually in here instead of doing this, well, we can do that, right? But what we'll do is basically we'll do this again, right? But we'll create the credits. So it's just going to be basically on top of the other one, somewhere on the screen, but we should be able to see it, right? And there we go. And there we go. And you know what? I'm actually quite liking that. What do you guys think? As I said, this scrolls once it gets too big for this page, right? But I'm liking that. The only thing that I actually want to change here, if I'm to change anything, is basically to move this up a bit to like there. And I think literally I would go with that, right? Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. Right, so what I'll do is we shall go back to here, we shall delete this, and basically we go to our main menu. Well, actually, what was going on there? Right, we'll save that for now. We'll go back to our main menu. And this is the credits part, right? So we'll click on button credits and on clicked, right? And basically I should have kept, what we'll do is create widget and W credits, add to viewport, save that, press play. Then if we hit credits, bang. Is that going to close? Yeah, it does. Superb. No, I don't do animation montages. I use the animation blueprint. And there we go. It was about that. Click on new game. And voila. Now, the one thing we do need to do here is, because things are so quiet, we're going to go to Pawn Chronicles, right? And we're going to add an audio component. and I've already added an audio component, and for some unknown reason I didn't add music. I think it was, let's go for scary. Right, is this auto? I'm just wondering if this is this autoplay? Auto activate, yeah it is. Okay, so basically now when we play we should get some music. Don't know what it's going to sound like. Don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Right, I'll put it on. Oh no, I'm at the end of the level. I've just fell off the end. Damn it. Right, so there you go, there's music going, spooky music, spooky game, stuff working, got credits. We just need now options and high scores, but I'm sure we'll be able to do that. We're going to need to work on structs for that, data tables for that, and for the different levels. And for each of the different levels, we're going to have to set up scores and times so that you can get awards of rubbish, nearly rubbish, medium, good, expert type thing, right? And that's how that's going to work. But I'm going to call it a night there. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit like, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and you can check out the description for joining Discord, and you can support the channel, get your name in the game, or check out my previous game on Steam, which is a tower defense game called FTD2. And I shall see you all tomorrow at 2 PM Central. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye for now.